Welcome back to the Virgo channel. I was inspired today to do another video. So again, this if the last video didn't resonate, maybe this one will. Again, maybe you're meant to hear this message. All cross watchers are also more than welcome to watch the video. So if you're here to find out about a Virgo, you can actually tap into this video because you'll see things a lot of times through the perception of the person that needs to hear the reading. And sometimes what you'll notice is part of the reading resonates more with you, and then the other part might resonate more with the person that you're tapped into or that's tapped into you. And that's because you both needed to hear different parts of the message. Spiritual energy works like that, especially on this channel, because on this channel, I like to go deep. I like to look at the spiritual wounds. I like to look at the shadows and see how they play out as karmic themes within your experience. Gives you an opportunity to heal because you're able to see things from a detached perception. And then I always like to look and see how we can integrate the spiritual lesson. I don't like to just look and see what goes on the surface, like what your person's hidden truths are. We do look at those, and we also look at, what they're going to do. But I want everyone to kind of learn why people do what they do. Part of spiritual healing is obviously it teaches us about ourselves. And by integrating certain spiritual blocks that we have within our relationships actually allows us to shape shift our situation and transcend the limitations of our own perceptions about ourselves, which is what healing is all about. It's that if there's any place in your life that you perceive isn't working, it's because you are spiritually blocked. So spiritual hygiene is really important. And we live in a society that doesn't teach about the spiritual hygiene and cleansing, doesn't teach us about shadow healing. It should be a part of academics. It should be a part of our health industry, but it's not. It's detached from it. And so what you have is you have a society that a lot of people don't feel that they can be in a happy relationship or that they could even be in a relationship at all. Um, Other people have problems financially, when meanwhile, money has no energy except for the energy that we're giving it. So understand this channel does tell you what potentially can happen, but there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness will depend on what you choose to do. So today we're going to look at how the spiritual blocks play out within your connection. Yes, what kind of connection it is, we look at, and obviously what they're going to do. But most importantly, what you need to heal, what you need to integrate, what is the relationship teaching about you, because the universe brings you everything that you need. And when we say that, it means everything that you need to evolve into the highest state of consciousness, which is unconditional love. So and if you want to enter into winning a free reading, you have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video. The word of the video today is going to be Christ consciousness. That is the word of the day. And Christ consciousness is the highest state of consciousness. And the reason why is because it depicts the character of Christ, which is unconditional love, forgiveness, perseverance, self-sacrifice, all these higher traits that are supposed to be what we integrate into our own character when we ground a Christ consciousness, that it's our acts are showing that. And so again, when I'm seeing this, I feel like you are in connection with a soulmate twin flame, and you're both healing and you're both learning. I feel like you both grew up in a very imbalanced environment. That could be that you grew up in an alcoholic home, you grew up in a home of addiction, a home that was, didn't have the resources financially. So you grew up in an environment that taught you fear, that taught you that money was hard to come by. And they taught it through watching how your parents struggled, right? And so taught that relationships were difficult because the relationship that you perceived that your mother and father had was not a happy one. So again, relationships were difficult. This, again, when we're born into families that have ancestral karma, it means that we were born into families that our parents didn't know how to deal with stress. And they were coming from the limitations of their situations and their experiences, meaning they never perceived that life could be any different than the experiences that they had already lived, and the experiences that they lived were not happy ones. They were ones that taught struggle and that brought shame because of lack and limitation. So moving into a Christ consciousness means we have to, again, learn. And so what better way to learn than the universe bringing us a soulmate, a twin flame? Especially the reason why, again, is because we're evolving into the highest state of consciousness. And what allows us to do this? Unconditional love, especially when there are spiritual blocks of forgiveness. These are the hardest spiritual lessons, especially when we feel that someone did something to us purposely. So I'm feeling like you're someone that grew up in a family that learned that life was hard and that you weren't enough, that you were inadequate and almost defective. It brought a lot of shame and guilt, because almost perceiving as if your limitations were the problems or contributed more to the family dynamic. So again, spirit brings in a person to us to teach what unconditional love is. So it's not the easiest relationship, but we look at the hidden truth first. And the hidden truth will tell us what this person feels underneath the mask, right? We all wear a mask, especially when we have wounds. I hid who I really am from you because they felt inadequate because of the home that they grew up in. And I feel like you know what this feels like. So spirit brings soulmate twin flames into each other's life to teach the highest state of consciousness, which is this Christ consciousness, which is all about unconditional love. But there was betrayal, but betrayal not because, again, this person meant to do that. I feel like, they were more concerned about being rejected. So the focus was on being rejected. This is, again, bringing the junk into the present, and that's what happened with this person. I'm grateful for the spiritual lesson. What they see is that there's still feelings. And if anything, even though the separation, their feelings have grown stronger. I feel like this person tends to strategize and tends to try to manipulate relationships, and because they don't really believe that they're deserving of it. It's time for me to heal now. What do these soul relationships do? They trigger us to make us look at ourselves. It's not a voluntarily thing that they didn't volunteer. It's something that they ran from for a long time, is what I feel. So they realize that this is a spiritual connection. They might not call it a spiritual connection, but they know it's no regular connection, that they're not able to walk away. It's made them look at themselves. It's made them have to go back and say, why does my life look the way that it does? and have to look at those inner child wounds. I'm so attracted to you. And understand they wouldn't do it unless they were attracted. What is passion? Passion is fire, and in alchemy, that's the only energy that can transmute real spiritual wounds where a person feels defective, feels like they're broken, because that is what they were conditioned to believe they came from. So that is who they are. And so, again, they feel a lot, the sensitivity. I feel like there's a lot in common between you and this person. I mean, ESP is through the heart and mind, it's felt through claircognizance. I feel like you and this person have that. Um, but it's like fire and ice, right? Soulmate twin flames are there. They're like opposite. They come from the same environment, but they form different gifts. And there's gifts usually are the are everything that their twin is, feels broken and feels like they can't make their life work in that particular area. And so the twin flame soulmate learns through each other when they're balanced. Again, this person came from a place of controlling in the beginning because of where they came from. But again, sticking around long enough to look at their wounds, to really look at the relationship. And you know that this person tried to talk themselves out of this connection a lot. But again, the heart always transcends the mind. The heart will always win. And especially when it's a divine connection that's come into the life to help transform you, to help transmute these really old inner child wounds, ancestral karmic wounds of I want you. Again, more passion. So again, passion is normally part of when people have the root chakra imbalance, they usually it's all about the passion. It's almost too much passion with not enough ground, without. So this person again almost feels like you're my person out of there. I feel like they just want to rush in. You don't know how hard it was to let you go. And this is, again, this person didn't really want to do that in the beginning. It's that they were trying to control the relationship. And then part of that was more or less to like scare you, emotionally manipulate you, to try to get you to give them without them having to really be vulnerable to you. And so what they see is they're in remorse right now, but they're also saying like, you know what, it wasn't like it was easy for me to do this. I did this to myself. And they almost feel stupid, which was another reason why they couldn't come back to you, because it was like they were trying to prove a point, but they almost took it to the extreme, almost like they meant to burn down the closet, but they burnt down the entire house, Like when Lisa Lopez, when Left Eye Lopez, she meant to burn only the sneakers in the bathtub, but she wound up burning down her boyfriend's entire house. It's like, this is what happens. So that's what they were doing. They were trying to just manipulate, and they destroyed the connection. You speak to me through music. So this person feels you. They can't get you out of their mind. And that really is how they know that this is a divine connection, because it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's making them feel more and more uncomfortable, because they're having to look at how they treated you. They had to look at, again, why they treat you the way that they do, why they act like so cold, why do they put on this persona, like, and really it's making them see about themselves. I'll contact you when I'm able to. Right now, my life is too complicated to bring you into it, but know that I want to talk to you. I feel like they're changing. everything. I feel like they were raised in an environment to not allow themselves to be vulnerable, to not show emotions, to always be strong. So this person again strategizes everything. Relationships don't feel comfortable. They overthink. They get in their own way because there's a feeling of lack, because they were made to feel as if that there was something wrong with them when they grew up. So they have this shame that really needs to be transmuted, but they are healing. As I said, it said that here, like this relationship is all about healing. And so making them so when a person heals, they're changing not just themselves, but the dynamic of the entire environment. And that environment is not happy. That environment is not happy because it means that every single person in that environment needs to look at themselves. And they don't want to take responsibility for how they're really acting. They don't want to, they almost feel justified of their behavior, which is probably like very controlling of, your person. Again, changing dynamics of just the way that they live. When we put ourselves first to do the healing, a lot of times that's annoying because we no longer have time for people and things that no longer serve us, that aren't going to help us to that aren't going to allow us to like flourish, to like bring us opportunities and situations that we want to experience because they're using our energy for ourselves. So maybe again, you're connected to someone that is works with a bunch of people that always make your person work the extra hours and controls them all the time so they can't have a social life. Maybe some of you are connected to family. Again, you put it how it resonates, but again, their environment has too much of a say. And that happens again when we come from a place of not feeling that the world is safe. We don't venture out into the world. So we don't really see what else is in the world. And the thing is that you are their opposite. So your approach to life is different. The way that you view life is different. The way that everything is different. And it's so appealing to them. It's like a breath of fresh air because it's real and it's true. And it's like, and they don't know it because they haven't lived it, but they know it because they feel it. And they feel it within their heart. They feel it within their gut. This is what a soulmate twin flame relationship is. It's like, you're supposed to be in my life because you make me be a better person. But understand nobody in that environment wants that, which is, again, don't let the world tell you who you are. It says that in the Bible for a reason. The reason why is because the world will tell you what's best for them, not what's best for you. Words have hurt me in the past, and that's why I fear talking to you. Again, when we grow up in an environment that we have to hide secrets, um, we don't know what to say, what to say. We hold a lot of shame. We inherit a lot of shame just because life is difficult. We see that life is difficult. We know that life is difficult from a young age because as children, we can feel the energy of our parents. We can feel the energy in the home. That's the first language. And so this person like doesn't know what to say and what not to say because growing up with imbalanced parents that don't want to look at their stuff, you can't really talk about things. You don't know what to talk about. So they brought that wound into this so they don't communicate with you. But guess what? They're going to have to. They're going to have to in order to like fix this. I miss you. Let's both stop running away. So I feel like that it's a very common dynamic between the soulmate twin flame relationship in the beginning because there's so much love and depth to the relationship, but you're triggering the shit out of each other and you're making each other go back to those original wounds that are that like they've been buried for a long time for a reason. But again, we're down here in physical form to learn and to manifest. We're supposed to be learning that we're not separate from God, through seeing our life through all different perceptions. Christ consciousness allows us to do that. Because when we're in this Christ consciousness, we can manifest. We can manifest the life and the life experiences that we want to have. And everybody's life and life experiences are different because every single person's, their wants, desires are different. So again, like this is a soulmate twin flame relationship that again mirroring each other down to from the wounds all the way to like we can't get it right, and it's so frustrating and it's so triggering and it's so you show up in my dreams. It helps me process buried memories, past life. Twin flame relationship transcends all time and space. Again, it's like that's why you're like, oh, I can feel you. You're familiar to me. I don't know you, but I feel like I know you. You feel like home. Even though it's like I don't, I may have deja vus with you. That's again helping heal because the spiritual wounds, a lot of times we're born into these families, right? That we didn't learn certain spiritual lessons from the past life. So again, you have that soulmate twin flame from past life that you didn't learn those lessons in the past. You weren't evolved enough, but in this life, it says that it's possible because again of the Christ consciousness. I'm seeing synchronicities like your name or 111 and working out what they mean. Like they again are trying to like read the universe, they know that this is a spiritual relationship. I don't think that this person ever tapped into that spiritual side before. I feel like they're blocked in the spiritual side, in the emotional side, in the they weren't allowed to explore that. Again, don't feel, be tougher, be stronger, never let them see you sweat, don't act like you care. This is the energy that this person like was raised to live, and it was through someone else's perception, where again I feel like they can't act like that around you, and it's opening them up to this whole spiritual part of themselves. I'm tired of being away from you physically. I'm trying to process my fears so I can come back to you. So they know that they have to, surrender their ego, and that they have to, ask for forgiveness, and that they had to look at a lot of stuff and process this stuff. I feel like your person has pretty much navigated every single relationship that they have ever been the way that they wanted to play it. It didn't mean that they weren't toxic. It meant that because they would always wind up toxic, but they never gave of themselves emotionally. They were very, very selfish, I feel like. And I feel like that's pretty much why they were a runner from you, because it's like they felt the depth of this connection. Almost like a player. It didn't mean that they didn't have any good times or didn't have any feelings. It's just they were one-sided. And I feel like it was always passion driven, but nothing here for a good time, not a long time, and more surface, no deep. And that's what this relationship is deep. It's deep. It's making them do healing. It's making them do healing that they don't want to do, that no one would volunteer to do. So we have to ask ourselves, what are you supposed to be learning from this situation? We will pull three again of vulnerability. Well, again, this person like running away and rejecting you almost, that's what it felt like you and having them come back, you have to display vulnerability. You would want to be like, no, especially coming from a home that you felt was difficult, that you were hurt because, again, of watching what transpired in the home that you grew up in. That you would be like, well, I don't want to be with someone that deliberately goes out of their way and hurts me because they're selfish, because I watched that selfish behavior. Where really Spirit says, this isn't the same situation. You don't have to be like this with this person because this person is coming back and they're coming back different. And this is also to teach them vulnerability because remember, they also grew up the same way you did. And it's hard to be vulnerable when you grow up in a war zone. It's hard to be, hard to grow up when you've had betrayal at such a young age. And that could be abandonment. It could be, victimization. And you've inherited wounds, and hurt people, even though they're your parents and they love you. It's hard to then be opened, to open the heart chakra because of, again, there was no play, really, just no play. You weren't allowed to find yourself. You weren't allowed to become yourself. I mean, how do children know what they like? How do we know? What happens if a child grows up in survival mode and they're not playing and finding themselves? They're in their mind. They're in survival. That's why it says a child that survives thrives. And so again, when it says in the Bible, be like childlike, it's because children go out and they explore, they find themselves, they learn about life because, again, they feel safe and supported too. And this didn't make you feel that way, but again, you have to reparent. And so would reparent would be that you would be vulnerable and play with this person, meaning there should be friendship, go out and explore life, not be so caught up in what happened, what did happen, and re-explore the same old trauma patterns that you grew up in and have to re-experience the pain and hurt, but to go out and play and find yourself and be vulnerable with each other and love each other. Again, because it would be cleansing. But the only way you're going to cleanse yourself of these karmic wounds, because those karmic wounds will continue to play out, especially if we grew up in an environment where we were hurt, we felt victimized, we felt betrayed, we inherited, these wounds from our ancestors because they struggled with life. And part of that was because of what was going on in their environment. There were wars going on, there was poverty, there was other issues, and they dealt with their stress the way that they knew that they could. But the whole point is that we're down here to learn, and that we're down here to learn that we're not separate from God. So these limitations that we perceive, they can't stop us. That we don't have to be stuck in a limited perception of what did happen, because people are going to hurt you. It's a part of life, but we don't need to take it personally. And we can learn how to be vulnerable, and we can do that by putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, by really getting to know each other, by, again, playing. Playing is going out and exploring life. So the focus is not on each other. You learn about each other through going out and playing in life. That's how you get to know each other. That's how you learn forgiveness. That's how you learn, to be vulnerable. That's how you learn friendship. And it's through, again, this process that you relearn who you are, but you don't lose yourself in the relationship. You find your best self in the relationship because you're learning the spiritual traits that you need to integrate for yourself to be able to create the life that you want. Because before anything else, before you even in a relationship, it's you have to love yourself first. And if you grew up in an environment that was really imbalanced, it's not uncommon that you would have wounds and feel again that you were defective and other things, and have seen that show up within other relationships in your life. And because of that, try to navigate your life through mentally instead of through the heart. And so this person that you're connected to is learning how to navigate the relationship more through the heart, where I feel like this relationship actually taught you how to navigate the relationship more through your mind, but more through a Christ consciousness of, I do have unconditional love for this person, so I can forgive, I can be vulnerable. I can, again, integrate those traits that I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't have unconditional love for this person. They weren't my twin flame. And so Spirit says, well, this is what it looks like. And once you integrate that, then you know what that looks like for, you'll be able to heal your ancestral karma, because part of ancestral karma is believing that you can't be loved, or that you can't have relationships because things happen, when those things where that people hurt me. Well, this is showing people are going to hurt you, but there's still unconditional love, and it's still part of the evolutionary process. And that is for you, and that's for this person, twin flame, your person that's a twin flame at this time. All right, I'm going to leave that there. If you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, all you need to do is write the word Christ consciousness in your comment bar. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.